For today's video, we're gonna travel back to ancient Greece and talk about the first cartoon appearance of that Herculean villain, the Mask of Vulcan. So, alright, let's go.
Alright, so we start off in an eerie forge outside of the Kingdom of Caledon, where we find a blacksmith who is building some fantastic new helmet. The cartoon calls it grotesque, but I think it actually looks quite superb. Sadly, the blacksmith is intending to use this helmet for evil. Using a helmet for evil? What's he gonna do? Run at someone real fast and like headbutt them in the chest or something? Huh? Well, I guess that would suck, but you know, it's not the worst thing. But we'll find out his plans soon enough, because he is now challenging a small squadron of Caledonian soldiers to kill him? Oh, I get it. This guy's crazy. This should be a pretty gnarly ending. Or, on second thought, this guy's not as crazy as I thought. The soldiers' spears are just bouncing off of this masked man as if these spears were made out of Nerf darts. Like shades of Scorpius! This guy is indestructible! Although, now that I think about it, his first test for invulnerability is having somebody throw a spear directly at his chest? Wouldn't you want to start off a little small, you know, just to make sure? Like, you know, maybe someone throw rocks at you or like a stick that's not pointy? But nay. Well, I gotta say, you know, I do admire his confidence. So now that the Mask of Vulcan has called out the army and won, he now calls out the mighty Hercules, because he ain't afraid of no demigod. So Hercules flies down from Mount Olympus because, you know, if somebody calls you out, you just can't hide in your house. That would completely ruin your street cred. So, on the Earth's surface, Hercules meets up with his two bros, Newton and Toot, to get the laydown of what's going on with this guy in the mask. And thusly, quickly, it's on. Hercules versus the Mask of Vulcan. Fight! And, well, I guess it's not really much of a fight. Darn it! Hercules is basically using the Mask of Vulcan as a punching bag. Working his left and right jabs pretty good, couple of uppercuts, but to no avail. The Mask of Vulcan is not affected by these powerful punches at all. He didn't even move an inch. Hey! Even with Hercules using his power ring. And at no point did Hercules try to physically take the helmet off of the Mask of Vulcan, the known source of his invulnerability. Just extend your arms, grab it, and whip, he's vulnerable. I'm suddenly reminded of the fable, The North Wind and the Sun, but I guess Hercules hasn't heard of it. So what is Hercules to do now? Well, he comes up with a plan. And it involves his two hooved friends. To start off with, you know, like for fun and to try to chill the mood, Hercules plays the telephone game, where he whispers to Newton what the plan is, so Newton can whisper to Toot what the plan is. And I'm not so confident in this telephone game because the communication between Toot and Newton is horrible at best. But nonetheless, I shall keep my fingers crossed that it works out. Therefore, the plan is put into place. Toot plays some pretty hardcore tunes on his flute there for the Mask of Vulcan, and then he shows the mask his bum, and then runs away like a maniac. This, of course, enrages the mask enough to chase down Toot in murderous rage, and oh my god, Toot, run, run! As the mask is catching up to Toot, Toot drops on the ground like a rock, and the Mask of Vulcan trips over him while they are near the edge of a cliff, causing the mask to fly off of the blacksmith, and with the blacksmith falling down the cliff to his certain death. Great Zeus, that is basically second-degree murder! Holy crap, remind me not to mess with Toot. But it's all good because Hercules catches the blacksmith at the bottom of the cliff, saving his life. And then Hercules basically just runs away without arresting the mask or anything? Not even taking his helmet? Man, like he can just climb to the top of the cliff, get his helmet back, and boom, back on the crime spree. So why did Hercules just leave him here? Oh well, I guess that's for another episode to worry about. And with that, that is the end of this Olympic tale!
So, yeah, hey, the Mask of Vulcan.
I wouldn't say that was his best episode ever. Like, it was, it was kind of meh. There are much better episodes featuring the Mask of Vulcan. This one, though, being the debut episode of the character, I kind of give it a pass. Just because, they're just giving you the basics of the character, and they will build on it later. But one thing that happens in all of his appearances is that he is defeated, pretty easily at a point, because they find a way to get his helmet off him, and he is now vulnerable. And it's kind of funny, all he has to really do is just add a chin strap to that helmet of his, That thing won't fly off of his head and he'll be indestructible indefinitely. That's it, just a chin strap. You can buy those for like 50 cents, at Walmart or something. But nay, it's like he's challenging himself to keep it on, himself just by sheer will. But even with all of that stuff, I can't really be disappointed in the Mask of Vulcan because he is actually my favorite villain of this Mighty Hercules series. I always thought he looked pretty awesome, like his helmet was pretty cool too. Up into the point, I actually made my own Mask of Vulcan for Halloween one year and I went as the Mask of Vulcan, which is in like top 2 of my favorite Halloween costumes I ever made. Even though everybody thought I was the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Close, but no. Even though when I was a kid, this is the Mask of Vulcan I actually wanted to have, but we couldn't find any, so I had to go as Mickey Mouse that year, which kind of was sad, but meh. It works out in the end. But yes, indeed, we do have some more behind-the-scenes kind of things about the Mask of Vulcan, about ancient Greece, and all that kind of stuff going on over here.
So yes, indeed, man, the Mask of Vulcan. A pretty awesome character by my standards. But what of the standards of ancient Greece, or of the standards of ancient Rome, who are interpreting ancient Greece? Well, yeah. Kind of not so good. So, as we know with this Mighty Hercules TV series, sometimes, they're kind of getting close to being pretty accurate to what was told in ancient Greece, and other times they are not quite so accurate at all. Case in point, the Mask of Vulcan. So in any of the ancient Greek religions, or the Roman interpretation of the ancient Greek religions, in their own way, there is actually no Mask of Vulcan. Or any kind of helmet that gives some random mortal some, superhuman invulnerability. But this cartoon, to its credit, they actually do a pretty decent job of alluding to the ancient gods. So the ancient god in question would be the Roman god Vulcan, who is the god of fire and the god of metalworking and the forge. And his Greek god counterpart would be Hephaestus. So in this featured episode, we do see a metal worker working on a helmet. At this point, the character doesn't have a name. We later learn his name is Myrtus. But him being a blacksmith, that alludes to Vulcan, being a blacksmith himself. And Vulcan, being a blacksmith, he built a number of fantastic things for his fellow gods, including thrones for the other gods to sit upon, palaces for the other gods, and also weapons and armor for the other gods, including thunderbolts for Zeus, many weapons for Hercules, and even the armor for Achilles. So a god making armor, for Achilles, that seems pretty spectacular and pretty indestructible, but still, it would not protect the parts of his body that were not covered in armor. So for them to make a helmet giving the wearer absolute invulnerability, for one, it looks pretty cool, and for two, realistically, they would have to build a whole full set of armor, to keep him protected, and that would be a whole lot more difficult for Hercules to remove. So a helmet, yeah, works out pretty decent, but like I say, not the actual Vulcan building a helmet, just a reference to some guy building a helmet for Vulcan. Where he got this blueprints from, I don't know. It's not like blueprints fell out of the sky one day and he just started building a helmet based on it. Well, maybe it did. That would actually be a pretty decent explanation, I guess. So even though there was no Mask of Vulcan, in ancient Greece there were other parts of armor or headgear that actually did have some fantastic powers. For example, Hades wore the Cap of Invisibility, which, well, obviously if you wear it, you turn invisible, so that's pretty cool. There was some other armor or shields or whatever that were pretty awesome back when too, but as for headwear with special powers, that's mostly it. And while other gods did wear a helmet, especially when going to war, like the god of war, Ares, none of these other helmets really held any special powers other than protection or just looking really awesome. But those are just some small basic things about the Mask of Vulcan, kind of his inspiration, and some other things about some fancy ancient headwear. So yeah, really, I guess not a whole lot. But sometimes that's just how it goes. So with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yeah!
Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.